Hey, left, right, out. We're sitting here, it's election day, watching some of the results come in. And of course, I'm not doing this live, so this is going to be dated by the time this is actually seen. But I wanted to talk more about just some patterns in things that are happening that just seem not. You can get results anywhere else. You can go watch something else. But here's the thing: we're going to start with Arizona, because Arizona is really pissing me off, because Arizona is one of the most conservative states there is. Granted, there's a lot of Californians that moved in there, and there's a lot of retirees that are typically liberal because they're living off the government dole, or they're living off young people having to pay their Social Security. But it is very conservative all around, conservative family-wise, conservative when it comes to liberty. And I don't know. I think it still is. It should be a red state. But here's the deal, too. There's apparently 20% of these, in Maricopa County anyway, these electronic voting machines are down. Doesn't mean they won't hand count them, but there's just a lot of, you had 2 freaking years to get something right. 2 years, there was a bunch of shenanigans going on in 2020, and you had 2 years to get things right, and things are still effing up. I have no idea why it is, why heads aren't rolling. I don't understand it in that state, how they can jack this up. So after what happened in 2020, how they can jack it up so bad. But hopefully that turns around, because right now where I'm watching it, of course there's like probably early ballots that are being counted, but it doesn't look too hot on what the most important race in there, which is the governor and the senator's race. The House race, you can kind of call that for a number of reasons when you look at Arizona demographics and the districts. But for the Senate and the governor's race, it should be a lot tighter, or not tighter. I mean, you should have that like Kelly seat flip. Should. It doesn't look like that, but we will see. But Blake Masters should get it. I mean, here's the thing. I look at this, you see the debate, you see the issues, whatever. Right now I'm looking at there's 50% in, and 50% of the votes are in or counted or whatnot. And somehow Kelly's got 771,000 votes. Oh, I mean, granted, though, I don't know. I'm not claiming anything. I'm just saying there's 771,000 morons. I mean, this is one of the worst states I've seen in the country in such ever in my lifetime. It's so bad. Like, there's people living on the streets all over the place. There's people living in the cars. There's people that can barely afford to, they can only afford a couple gallons of gas to get to wherever they got to go. They're choosing food items that are normally just like, you'd think they would happen in a third world country. People are living off top ramen noodles that used to not. There's all kinds of people are living with other families, multiple families and houses. People are living with multiple weird people, their roommates. I mean, all kinds of crazy ass shit, because this country's falling apart. And somehow these races are close. It shouldn't be close. These things should flip. I don't know how 771,000 people so far on this have voted for Mark Kelly. I have no idea. Or let's look at the governor's race when it comes to that. How in the name of Zeus's butthole is almost 750,000 people voting for Katie Hobbs and even show up to a debate like the first ever governor candidate in Arizona history to not show up to the scheduled debate? It's blowing my freaking mind right now that it's even close. Now we can look at New Mexico, and I've heard some other people. New Mexico is a very conservative state in the sense that the way that people live, or a lot of big ranches and whatnot, and there's a gun culture there. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about it, but it is, there's still this like old ties for some reason to some Hispanic Democratic establishments and whatnot. It's kind of weird, and it's been a blue state for, I don't know, a number of cycles, and it to me it really shouldn't be. It's just weird conundrum when it comes to that. Now we go up to a state So I just, you can write New Mexico off. We go up to like a Colorado. Colorado outside of the I-25 is red. And I have no idea. I don't know how the strong the Republican candidate was there, but it looks like Polis is going to pull that one off pretty handedly, which is it's not even close. And that guy's a disaster. We go over there. This is the more concerning thing when it comes to Colorado is the House race. Boebert, if you go on the west, so like a far plain side of Colorado, very red. You got the I-25 district. Yeah, that's going to be blue because it's Denver, Fort Collins, Colorado Springs, all the crazy butt nuggets that have moved in over the years and transitioned that state into a bluish purple state, which is incredible because Colorado is one of the most conservative states when I was growing up in the whole nation. But anyway, the western part has always been super conservative. But here's Boebert, somehow right now 70% of it's in. Somehow it's close. We'll see. Hopefully she pulls it out. But there's 125,000, essentially 125,000, 124,000, whatever people in Western Colorado that voted for this Fish guy. And not Boebert. I don't have any clue. I would vote for a ham sandwich over anybody with a D at this point right now in the state of the country. They've had their shot when supermajority bashing people, weaponizing DOJ, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, locking us down, keeping your kids out of school, not following any kind of scientific data, but just following some scientific overlord and imposing their will. This is absolute insanity. Even if everything pulls out and the Republicans get the majority of it, I'm still pissed at how close these things are. I look at my own state. I'm looking because now we got 2 districts. Of course, the eastern part, I mean, they've only got 12% of the vote. The eastern part's solidly red, and with the largest city there is still solidly red. But you go to the western part, where you got all these California schmucks that have moved into there, and also the liberal colleges. There's always been little tiny liberal bastions there, but the race there for the House is tighter than it should be. Some of the stuff is just absolutely outlandish. Go back to the Senate real quick. But anyway, I just look at this stuff and it baffles me that people I have no idea. I don't know how people can't, they're like the battered wives that keep going back to the husbands, or we're just down to that road where everybody's so stupid over years of government schooling and just social media interactions or whatever, that we're so stupid we can't we just want to get beat again. We just want to get beat over the head. So I mean, I don't know what to say. I look at the Senate race. You got Bennett, which, I mean, Bennett's not the greatest thing in the world in Colorado, but you'd think that you'd put a solid Republican candidate, you'd have a shot there. It looks like he's pretty solidly got that one wrapped up. But like I said, this whole Kelly thing is really pissing me off. The good thing is right now, as we look at 12% of the vote in Utah, which is another solid race, this would be like the race that gives you any kind of hope. Lee has been ahead in that. Mike Lee is one of the 3 guys that I look at in the Senate currently, or maybe 2 now, that is just a solid constitutionalist. And it was always amazing to me. It was amazing to me when I started hearing that his race is pretty much the establishment has left him high and dry, which means he's probably a good guy. And his seat was in jeopardy. We look at some other things. It looks like Walker's pulled ahead. There was a time when I looked at the Georgia race and I was like, that weirdo governor candidate, Stacey Abrams, was in the lead. Thank God she's not. But there's still 1.5 million people that are dumb enough to vote for that broad, who is one of the most insane people running for office. Baffles me. Hochul, who's driven a number of different wedges in New York and has crushed a lot of, but businesses and done all kinds of crazy shit too, somehow has got 2.1 million votes and is ahead of Zeldin so far with 50% of the vote. The point being is I can't believe there's so many people that have still got their head in the damn sand after the last couple of years. You would think that all the shit's gone down, that you would have these huge sways, at least least, if anything, because even if they get a majority, the Republicans are going to be able to do much, but they will be able to kind of stop some of the insanity, at least put it in, stop it in its tracks. They probably can't do any much to reverse it, but they can stop it in its tracks. But I don't know. It's really hard to see if there's much hope. I mean, you got some good things that are happening in parts of the country, but that some of the stuff, especially in my western Colorado, Rocky Mountain states, where those are solid red states. I always have been. It's, you know, the type of people that have grown up there and whatnot, but they've been transformed, I think almost intentionally, through coasters, West Coasters, East Coasters in there. They're bringing their liberal fucking politics and transitioning the culture there. It's devastating. It's one thing I almost want to throw up over. Anyway, there's a handful of states that are still solid. I'm gonna leave it there. I'll talk to you later. Peace. Watch the markets. Watch the markets. Markets are actually pretty freaking stupid too, in anticipation of this. But rates are up. I know my bank account, I'm getting like 3.5% or 3.25% right now on any my savings account. That's pretty cool. There's my gold stocks finally started popping, even though I think that you're gonna have time to get in it again once we get an actual flushing. What else is happening? There's bad numbers, but somehow the market's still holding up. We'll see what happens here. There's some interesting charts when relate to like 2008 crisis and what's going on. And it seems like that timeline is still on the docket with the way the charting is. It seems to be making this perfect weird pattern that's reminiscent of some other crashes, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, talk to you later. Peace.